The Shark, Part 2 ending. Update everyone. On said evening, Jim tried to call me. Apparently, his parents received their letter letting them know about their son's actions. For those who don't remember, Jim is 28 and still lives with his parents. Some Prince is charming. In any case, I didn't answer the phone call. I have no use for arguing with him, and I saw no reason to get into a yelling match. Nothing I can say or do to him is going to change his mentality. So I'm just staying the course and working on ending the affair. My wife called me later in the night and told me she has applied for legal aid. My first thought was, the government will pay for a divorce. My second thought was that if she is waiting on some sort of state-appointed attorney or whatever, the wait will take some time. I believe that a loan may prolong her filing, if that is indeed what she intends to do. I got a phone call from her this afternoon telling me I need to go by the bank and sign some paperwork to get my name off of the car loan, which would also relinquish the title to her from my understanding. Should I agree to do this? My gut is saying wait until any potential divorce proceedings, but I'm not seeing where I would be accomplishing anything by not doing what she asks in this case. After being angry the last few times we had talked before this weekend, she was civil in our conversations recently. On Saturday, she was bawling asking why I was blaming Jim for everything. My response to her was that while I acknowledge that I lacked in meeting some of her important needs, her current affair is keeping us from working on our marriage. She told me that she doesn't like me, much less love me, which was somewhat expected after spending some time on this forum. She told me that she has no friends left because I have caused them to all alienate from her. Given that I was with some of our best friends, another married couple, when she called, I knew this was not true. I mentioned to her that she has plenty of people around her that love her. But just because they don't support what she is doing does not mean they hate her. Before hanging up, I reminded her that I love her and that when she is willing to give up her affair, I will be more than willing to work on our marriage. She just said that our marriage is over and said bye before hanging up. Again, most of this I expected, so it hasn't caught me off guard too much. But I still have a surreal feeling that leaves me wondering if this is really happening. In any case, I press on with the hope of saving my marriage, but also trying to prepare myself for the scenario in which I may be forced to move forward without my wife. The gym has definitely been my friend. I've lost 30 pounds since June 1st, both from my appetite lacking for a few weeks and spending a few days a week at the gym. I feel light on my feet again, and I'm considering joining a softball team or basketball league of some sort. Last night was an interesting and revealing night. I was with a friend of mine at the gym and I started getting messages from my wife's friend from work, who I'll just call Janet. Janet started by asking how I was doing. I responded that I'm just keeping busy and staying occupied. She said, "Well, I bet you don't have it as bad as your wife though." I paused a moment to think about whether or not I wanted to take the bait, and decided to ask, how exactly does she have it so bad? She said, "Oh, you know, just that her credit is destroyed and some really childish things like you checking her Facebook chats and being jealous of a guy friend." You know, I responded, I'm not sure what's going on with her credit. That must be something she did after she left home. Janet began to get angry. "Oh, don't act like you don't know. You've done this to her. Your jealousy and controlling ways didn't help either. I'm going to have to stop talking or I'm not going to be very nice." I calmly said, "Janet, I'm really sorry she's been lying to you. This is why I tried to talk to you a couple of weeks ago when you ignored my phone calls. My wife has been having an affair with Jim for the past few months. It's been building and building, and this is why I was digging for the information that I now have. Not because I was trying to be controlling. When things started to get blatantly suspicious, I dug deeper. And while I initially felt guilty, that feeling went away once I found what I found." Janet said, "She has been loyal to you to the very end. She always spoke so highly of you, and you just ran her off with your little digging. She is not and never has been in an affair. There is nothing but friendship in her and Jim." "Well, Janet, then why is it that I have a picture of them kissing and holding hands?" It took about 5 minutes, but she finally responded, "Yeah. I'll believe that when I see it, and I'll be the first to apologize to you." After I emailed her 2 of the pictures, she was beyond apologetic. She told me she was very sorry how much she had disrespected me. I told her that, in my mind, there was no harm done between us. She had been someone that was somewhat of a mutual friend previously because I had worked with her in the past, because I felt that her reactions were based out of the lies my wife had been telling all of her friends. I told her that I am still fighting for my marriage and that I hope people like herself will still love my wife without enabling the affair. I think Janet is very torn right now. She has previously been friends with both Jim and my wife. And now she has found out that they've both been living a secret life while fronting something completely different to their friends, such as herself. From what I can gather, many people in their workplace are starting to put together what is really going on. The secret aspect of the relationship is falling apart, and I'll be interested to see what happens from there. I truly hope her friend informs the rest of the people in their group of girlfriends what is really going on, especially since they're all friends with Jim as well. I'm somewhat amazed that my wife and Jim have been able to keep this from these friends for as long as they have. I have tried to expose to these people a few times, but many of them don't want to hear what I have to say. Maybe the one friend that really knows will be able to get them to listen now. I called her general manager. He never returned my phone calls. I called the HR department and they would not even speak to me because I'm not a current employee. My friend that still works there called HR and informed them. They're supposed to be calling him back any day now to let him know if it's something they will even pursue or if it will just be dropped. I'm just going to be honest. Her place of employment is only one store in the largest consumer electronics company around. That should probably give you a clue as to where she works. With that being said, any tips for maybe getting someone to push forward with this in the HR or corporate office? Also, she is wanting me to go by the bank to sign some paperwork to get my name off of the car. Am I going to be causing any harm to myself by doing this? As far as I can tell, it will take the responsibility of the payment completely off of me. But I could be wrong. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm reaching the point where I almost don't want things to work out now. I'm not sure if this is a feeling that will pass, but I'm just feeling indifferent to it all anymore. The hurt and lies that she's put me through are just building, and I just don't know if I can care for much longer. I'll always care about her, but I'm starting to feel like if I continue down this road, I'm going to waste a good portion of my life ignoring everything in the present trying to save something that may not ever work out. My thing at this point is I have literally lost all desire to even work on things. I'm tired of trying to argue with her friends when they contact me. I'm tired of arguing with her. And most of all, she's been so hateful to me that even though I expected it, it's just taken away any desire I had to work on our marriage. I have an appointment with my doctor tomorrow afternoon to see about some anxiety medication. I didn't think I would have to go to this length, but it's gotten to the point where I'm letting stress and anxiety build. And the smallest thing ends up setting me off into a day-long fit of depression and anger. If that makes sense, I'm really struggling with trying not to be angry. I'm angry because I feel like I spent the last 7 years of my life revolving everything around someone who likely didn't care about me as much as her own happiness in any given moment. My problem is and always has been that I tend to have a low level of confidence around people in general. That isn't to say I don't like myself or anything like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if my doctor assesses that I have social anxiety disorder, which both my dad and brother have been diagnosed with. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing or feeling at this point. I truly feel like the marriage is as good as done. I've lost the desire to even fight the process. I thought I could stand strong, but now I'm asking myself if it's even worth it in the end. Even if she comes back, we would still have a long road ahead as far as repairing the marriage, and my guess is by then, years will have passed and I'll end up resenting her and myself for waiting around for so long. I have considered Plan B. The only problem I can see with writing a letter to her like this is that she will likely think, so, I already told you earlier this week I never want to speak to you again. Obviously, words spoken out of anger, but hopefully it makes sense what I'm saying. The doctor put me on Celexa, so I'm giving it a shot. I don't really want to talk divorce, but it's more because I'm just tired of it all as opposed to wanting to fight for my marriage. I almost feel as if the feelings that I would be trying to save by moving to Plan B are indeed already gone. I still love her, I just don't want anything to do with her right now. It's been nearly a week since I've had any form of contact with my wife. On Friday evening, I headed to the driving range. Her best friends, or at least her best friend now since her longtime best friend won't speak to her, house is 2 blocks away from the driving range. And I noticed that both my wife's and Jim's cars were parked out front. It simply amazes me that her best friend knows what is going on and is supporting it. I'm sure she's heard all kinds of terrible things that forced my wife to her affair. But even still, marriage is marriage. Many of my wife's friends seem to believe that it's okay for her to carry on this relationship because she left me, even if we are still married. What they're conveniently looking past is that the affair is why she left, and it was going on well before she left. My friend that works with her received a call back from the HR department, who said that there is nothing they can or will do about the situation. It seems as if the general manager has swept it under the rug. Little does he know, there is a battle brewing in his own workplace. On one side, you have my wife, Jim, and their girlfriends, and on the other end, you have a group of my friends, their friends, and a few married co-workers that can't believe someone would disrespect a marriage to this end. Times like these prove what my wife doesn't seem to understand. Her choices affect so much more than just our marriage and her happiness. They affect our families, friends, and even our workplaces. Her best friend, the one that was the maid of honor in our wedding, has backed me 100% since she found out what was going on. She has even gone as far as telling me that I deserve better, and that she wouldn't blame me if I stop waiting on my wife and just move on to find what I deserve. This is someone that my wife literally knew when they were 3 years old. They grew up and got into trouble together all the way through high school. Now, I'm not one to say what I do and don't deserve, because the truth is, I probably don't deserve anything. but I am getting to a point where I realize that I don't deserve to be cheated on. I don't deserve to be asked to cover up for her infidelity. And I don't deserve the amount of hate that came from my wife. I've spent a lot less time thinking about her lately, so in a way, I'm guessing that's good. My biggest issue at this point is I'm not sure which direction I should go. I don't know if I should be still working on a plan A, if I should move on to plan B, or if I should simply just accept that it may really be over. Which may include plan B. It has become increasingly clear that my wife's friends are supporting her despite knowing the truth. They are of the mindset that she deserves to be happy no matter what. No wonder it's been so easy for my wife to continue this relationship. I haven't had contact with my wife in almost 2 weeks, and with everyone supporting her, I don't really want much to do with her. I'm getting to the point of admitting defeat, but don't know if this is what I should be doing. It's really hard to know what I should do next, even with steps laid out in front of me. Most of her family knows, her friends know, my friends and family know. And word has gotten around the workplace, and those people know. My wife has ceased talking to a couple of her former best friends due to them knowing and not supporting her. She has truly surrounded herself with a support group who knows what is going on. With so many of them, it's made it incredibly easy for her to continue the affair. I know it's been said, but it's likely plan B time. Maybe in my mind I've been in plan B mode for at least a week now. I haven't tried to contact my wife or even had a desire to do so. Part of me almost wishes she'd go ahead and serve me with papers so we can get it over with. But then the other part of me still wants to fight for what I know to be right and what I promise to uphold for the rest of my life. Today has been rather interesting. As I said, I've been sitting in the background letting this all die down. Turns out, her friends have reacted very negatively to the exposure. Her best friend's husband has now started a crusade to convince people that I have physically abused my wife. Obviously, that sort of accusation had to have come from my wife. At this point, I'm almost considering filing for divorce myself. I'm honestly ready for it to be over, and even if my wife came to me now and said she wanted to work on our marriage, I'm not sure, with everything that has happened, it would be worth it or could ever be repaired. Weeks later, I still haven't spoken to my wife since last week. I've held off on sending her a Plan B letter to this point. I've sort of felt myself drifting back into a desire to save the marriage, but with an obvious understanding that it may not happen. I'm not really sure what I could try to do to initiate contact with my wife. I'd like to see if anyone has any ideas. I've thought about getting some sort of humorous card or something to make her laugh as well as let her know I'm thinking about her. I'm just not sure what is reasonable, acceptable at this point. I just saw my wife for the first time in over a month. When I walked out of work for lunch, went to get in my car, I heard my name. She was across the street at the library. I'm not sure how long she had been waiting there because I took my lunch later than usual. Before she left, we had gotten a student loan consolidation in process for her. Turns out, they just finalized it and needed some more paperwork. Since I had handled most of it previously, she was unsure of what to do. Also, since we are still married, the paperwork called for some of my info. I told her I would fill them out and make sure they were sent in for her. She started talking about being worried about me cutting her off of the health insurance. Her rheumatoid arthritis has flared up so bad that one of her ankles is keeping her from walking well. I told her I will not cut her off of the insurance because I care for her too much to leave her without medical care should she need it. She asked if I could get the crutches for her. I will have those for her this evening. She started tearing up pretty good at this point. She talked a little about how her living situation with her mom isn't good. I think reality may be hitting her a little. I could be wrong, but I think she wanted to see me. Jim isn't working today and she could have been hanging out with him. And she definitely has other people she could ask to explain the paperwork to her. I just tried to stay positive and focus on her needs in the little bit of time we were together. I broke down after I drove away because it's hard to see her physically hurting like she is. But at least felt confident while I was around her. We'll see what happens from here. I've prepared an email that I wanted to run across here before sending. Wife, it was good to see you today. That form is in the mail. Let me know if they send you anything else and I'll help you with it. I'm here should you need anything, so please do let me know. I got your crutches out of the storage shed earlier. I can get them to you as early as this evening if you aren't working. I'll be heading to the gym for a few hours so I'll be out and about. I'm really sorry that your arthritis is flaring right now. Don't worry about the health insurance. I won't be taking you off of that. You need to keep up with your medical coverage. How are your lungs doing? Please take care of yourself and let me know if there is anything I can do to help you out. I love you. I just got a response from her. Thank you for doing those papers. I'm working but I can get them after I get off. My lungs don't bother me anymore, it's just spreading all over my body again and I don't know how much worse it's going to be this time. I know it's because of stress. Just please don't cut me off the insurance and tell me when I need to give you money for it. I'm glad that you seem to be doing better because our lives are going to be separate now and I do want you to take care of yourself also. Just please don't mess with my life anymore. I've got mixed feelings here. Just reminding myself that she's in the fog. I met with her this evening to give her the crutches. I had just finished at the gym, so I was still in my workout attire. Having been over a month since she had seen me before today, she definitely noticed a difference. She got out of the car and started grinning from ear to ear once she saw me. She tried to play it off and we joked around for a few minutes. We stayed and talked for a few minutes about how each of us is doing. She shared some things with me about her mom, something I know she isn't sharing with just anyone. Either way, I felt it went fairly well. The weekend went pretty well. I met with her to give her the little care package I had prepared. She brought me some muffins. She seemed very discouraged and started talking to me about how her condition is really limiting her right now. She will be visiting her doctor again this upcoming Friday. Yesterday, I sent her an email just telling her to keep her head up and that I believed she would get to feeling better. She sent me a response thanking me, saying she hoped I was having a nice day. And thank you for the care package, especially the walnuts because they are delicious. All in all, not bad. I've at least got her talking again. A friend of mine that works with her seems to get the feeling things between Jim and my wife aren't as perfect as she wanted. Said they aren't speaking to each other much at work. While it in no means says the affair is on the downswing, I think it's maybe a positive sign. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and work toward winning my wife back from her affair. I really get the feeling we could be stronger for it if we can ever truly recover. I've done a lot of thinking today about where I am personally. As many of you may remember, around a month ago, I was completely burnt out. I was ready to throw in the towel. Then, it was like I woke up one morning and had my second wind of sorts. I don't feel desperate at this point like I did before and certainly feel more prepared. You have all helped me a ton and I appreciate the support and guidance I've received here. I have a certain confidence that things may be getting on a better path, but I'm also cautious enough to not get overzealous and to protect myself as well. As I mentioned, my wife has a doctor appointment with her rheumatologist on Friday. She has never liked going to these appointments alone, so I intend to send her an email around midweek to let her know that I would be happy to take her if she doesn't feel comfortable going alone. She will likely get some fluid drained out of her left knee and her right ankle. We emailed back and forth a little today. It turns out her doctor appointment got pushed back to next Thursday because her doctor will be out of the office tomorrow. I offered her some encouragement and she seemed to appreciate it, although she didn't really say a whole lot. I'm not sure what's going on in affair land at this point. I'm just assuming it is still ongoing. It isn't as if we are spending a ton of time together as it is, so I'm just working toward trying to assure that she sees that I can meet her needs enough to at least consider coming to the table and ending contact with him. A big issue for us was a perception that I didn't help around the house or give her the attention she wanted or needed. As an accountant, I no longer work in public accounting, but work for a company as an internal accountant. A close family friend came to me near the end of last year asking for my help for his business because his accountant had gotten 17 months behind. He was willing to pay very well. I took on the project, and much of my free time at home was spent working on it. In my wife's eyes, she saw me sitting in front of the computer ignoring her, when I was really trying to make money to help support us. When you add to it that I've been working on breaking into the field of sports journalism and actually landed a weekly column in our local paper, I spent a lot of time working in which she saw me following sports and playing on the computer. It was irresponsible and ignorant on my part. I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety right now. I feel very angry. While watching college football with a friend last night, his fiancée was there, who works with my wife and used to be in their clique until she didn't support the affair. She overheard a conversation between my wife and Jim at work in which one of they seemed to be jokingly arguing about who left the air conditioner on the night before. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. More than any time before, I feel the urge to confront Jim and maybe give him the respect he deserves by knocking a few teeth out. I know it wouldn't do any good, but it's still a hard thought to get rid of. I'm angry all over again about the level of disrespect he showed by blatantly pursuing my wife. This has led me to go back and read some of their Facebook chats. I know, not exactly healthy for me. And he quite obviously told her at one point, "Yeah, I just decided I wanted to talk to you one day even though we worked at the same place for 3 years and never spoke. So I just brought you some food from fried chicken for lunch." I just can't understand how my wife, or anyone for that matter, doesn't see this for what it is. I get the feeling that until she feels pressure from her friends to do the right thing, the affair will continue. The friends that don't support the affair don't want to say anything because they don't want any backlash from the other friends. It's really a tough situation. I just wish people could do the right thing. I miss her a lot right now. I keep asking myself how I could miss someone that has no regard for my feelings and emotions, but I can't come up with an answer. The biggest thing I've struggled with recently is being over-analytical. I've always been someone that analyzes the things people do and speak. Before I met my wife, I tended to deal with a lot of social anxiety. She has, to this point in my life, been the only person I've ever felt comfortable around. It's really hard not having her to talk to on a day-to-day basis. I believe if I tried, he would go hide somewhere in the store. The friend I was watching the game with last night had been in the store one evening and saw him and even specifically asked for him to help him with a computer. But Jim slipped out as if he was going on lunch. It is a great idea though. HR was notified but have said that since I don't work there, they won't do anything. I realize it is grounds for harassment issues in the workplace, but to this point I haven't pursued any legal aid to go any further with it. For the most part, everyone in the workplace knows about it, and except for her circle of friends, are frowning pretty heavily upon it. Many of them don't understand why I would ever want to be with her again. Either way, I think for the most part, it's been exposed to everyone I can think of. It would really help if anyone would talk to her, and with that alone, I think she would start seeing that what she is doing is wrong. To this point, I know in her fog that she honestly believes she is doing right by taking this route. Is there anything else I can be doing at this point? I wrote a letter to Jim to, at the very least, get a little off of my chest, even if I'm not sending it. Jim, to this point, I have remained quiet toward you in regard to how things got to where we are today. While many around you know the truth of your actions, still many more have been deceived by your smooth words to believe things have occurred differently than the truth. In many ways, it wouldn't surprise me to know that you have started to believe the lies yourself. Lies that remove the burden of the utter disrespect and disregard for something as sacred as a marriage from your shoulders. When you first started talking to my wife, I had no problem with you. Having worked with you previously, although we had never talked much, I had never had any reason to hold any ill will toward you. What came next was the most shocking. Surely you aware that on many occasions when she was with you, she had told me she was elsewhere. I found this out rather innocently, yet after it became apparent that the behavior was ongoing and you were encouraging it, I began to watch more closely. You began to place yourself on a pedestal while subtly instilling ideas into my wife's head that I was the enemy. Even more subtly encouraging her to compare all of my negatives with all of your positives. You put up a front to make yourself seem innocent right to my face. Yet all along were plotting behind my back in an effort to sweep my marriage out from under me. You would act friendly to my face, but as it turns out, you oftentimes proceeded to talk down of me after the fact and behind my back. You continued to instill the idea that I was somehow controlling over my wife, while in fact I was the one being controlled. The very fact that information was being purposely withheld from me, like who she was with, what she was doing when she lied to go to lunch with you, was controlling my thoughts, emotions, and reactions. To this point, you've claimed an innocence to everything at hand, saying that everything just happened after the fact. I think you and I both know you're very good at getting what you want. And in this case, it seems you got it. You were the one to bring up the conversation about feelings for my wife. You continued to say and do things to feel out where she was in order to determine the right timing for making your move. You've told people that you were just being a good friend to her and helping her through hard times. If that were true, things would have turned out very differently. If you were truly trying to be a good friend and nothing more. When she came to you with marriage problems, you would have given her suggestions for putting a spark back into her marriage. You would have told her she should be talking to me about it instead of you. Or even better yet, you would have said, hey, I'm not a professional, so let me help you find a marriage counselor so you too can work on your issues. Instead, you took a path that you felt benefited you more, choosing to pursue a married woman. I realize that my wife is also responsible for choices that have been made, but the fact that she was so very obviously vulnerable meant you should have tread even more carefully if you were only trying to be a friend. I'm not claiming to be a perfect husband, because I obviously have my own mistakes, but I took a vow to love, honor, and cherish my wife for the rest of my days, forsaking all others. It's a vow she also took, once in which I take very seriously. Marriages go through rough times frequently, and ours was no different. Yet many of our problems were expounded by the fact that we had issues in communicating with one another. When you began pursuing my wife and making me look like even more of a bad guy, it became impossible for me to communicate with her. This is not just a short-term relationship that you have helped to throw a wrench into. It is a marriage. While you may not take that seriously, having never been married yourself, I do. You may not care about anything I have to say, but quite frankly I wouldn't expect much else after you so blatantly disregarded the covenant in which my wife and I had with one another. You may not believe in God, but I do, and I know that God takes the covenant of marriage very seriously as well. Whatever the case may be, I will have you know that I love my wife very much. And although the hurt that has been caused on both sides is piled high, I will continue to love her until my dying day. After all, to purify gold, you must first put it to the fire. I hope you will consider these words and use more caution in the future when dealing with someone who is married. When I step back and look at the situation in the proper perspective, I'm just not sure confronting him would do any good at this point. Like I posted above, I wrote that letter to get it off of my chest. but I don't think I'll be getting it to him. The part of me that hurts would love nothing more than to kick his teeth in, but all that may do is fuel the fire for her to push further away from me than she already has. It might send a very mixed message if I'm working on love kindlers and then confronted him in any fashion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying not to panic. Just received an email from my wife, so I filed for divorce. I need to give you the papers to sign and it will be final 60 days from today. I have everything done and was approved for them to pay everything. I'm really sorry, but we can't ever be together no matter how much you believe. Just let me know when I can meet you. I respond. I am still at a point where I would love to see her come out of this fog. When I didn't respond within an hour of her email, she sent another one. I'm really sorry. I know you're hurt, but everyone should have just stayed out of our business. Our lives will get better, but for now it's going to be hard. I'm sorry. How can she pin this on people who were encouraging her to go back to her marriage? Just got done meeting with her. We sat and talked for nearly 2 hours. She bawled during the point in which she gave me the paperwork. I'm no attorney, but from what I can tell, she gave me a copy of the original petition, and then also gave me the form she asked for me to sign. It is called waiver of service and basically seems as if I waive most of my rights by signing it. Also, it seems that temporary orders were already attached. Sounds like I need to get in touch with an attorney. As far as personal growth, I've been doing some study on biblical manhood. It's really neat to see how you can take different resources and put them all together to see a bigger picture of the person you'd like to be. I still go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and I am involved with a softball team, which gives me some enjoyment. As far as work goes, I'm just bored out of my mind right now. I tend to run out of things to do near the end of each month. I'll be busy once October rolls around, but until then, I'm sort of spinning my wheels. Part 3 ending coming tomorrow morning. The wife is starting to disrespect him because she expects him to just not fight back, which is exactly what he is doing. If he is meeting other women, or just even extending his circle, maybe his partner would see his importance. You agree? See you in the part 3.